Alexandria, 125 BC. The assassins dropped into the palace grounds at midnight, 4 fleet shadows dark against the wall. The fall was high, the ground was hard. They made no more sound on impact than the pattering of rain. 3 seconds they crouched there, low and motionless, sniffing at the air. Then, away they stole, through the dark gardens, among the tamarisks and date palms, towards the quarters where the boy lay at rest. A cheetah on a chain stirred in its sleep. Far away in the desert, jackals cried. They went on pointed toe tips, leaving no trace in the long wet grass. Their robes flitted at their backs, fragmenting their shadows into wisps and traces. What could be seen? Nothing but leaves shifting in the breeze. What could be heard? Nothing but the wind sighing among the palm fronds. No sight, no noise. A crocodile Jinny, standing sentry at the sacred pool, was undisturbed, though they passed within a scale's breadth of his tail. For humans, it wasn't badly done. The heat of the day was a memory. The air was chill. Above the palace, a cold round moon shone down, slathering silver across the roofs and courtyards. Away beyond the wall, the great city murmured in the night. Wheels on dirt roads, distant laughter from the pleasure district along the quay, the tide lapping at its stones. Lamplight shone in windows, embers glowed on roof hearths, and from the top of the tower beside the harbor gate, the great watchfire burned its message out to sea. Its image danced like implight on the waves. At their posts, the guards played games of chance. In the pillared halls, the servants slept on beds of rushes. The palace gates were locked by triple bolts, each thicker than a man. No eyes were turned to the western gardens, where death came calling, secret as a scorpion, on 4 pairs of silent feet. The boy's window was on the first floor of the palace. 4 black shadows hunched beneath the wall. The leader made a signal. One by one, they pressed against the stonework. One by one, they began to climb, suspended by their fingertips and the nails of their big toes. In this manner, they had scaled marble columns and waterfalls of ice from Massilia to Hadramot. The rough stone blocks were easy for them now. Up they went, like bats upon a cave wall. Moonlight glinted on bright things suspended in their mouths. The first of the assassins reached the window ledge. He sprang tiger-like upon it and peered into the chamber. Moonlight spilled across the room. The pallet was lit as if by day. The boy lay sleeping, motionless as one already dead. His dark hair fell loose upon the cushions. His pale lamb's throat shone against the silks. The assassin took his dagger from between his teeth. With quiet deliberation, he surveyed the room, gauging its extent and the possibility of traps. It was large, shadowy, empty of ostentation. 3 pillars supported the ceiling. In the distance stood a door of teak, barred on the inside. A chest, half filled with clothes, sat open against the wall. He saw a royal chair draped with a discarded cloak, sandals lying on the floor, an onyx basin filled with water. A faint trace of perfume hung on the air. The assassin, for whom such scents were decadent and corrupt, wrinkled his nose. His eyes narrowed. He reversed the dagger, holding it between finger and thumb by its shining, gleaming tip. It quivered once, twice. He was gauging the range here. He'd never missed a target yet, from Carthage to Old Colchis. Every knife he'd thrown had found its throat. His wrist flickered. The silver arc of the knife's flight cut the air in 2. It landed with a soft noise, hilt deep in the cushion, an inch from the child's neck. The assassin paused in doubt, still crouched upon the sill. The back of his hands bore the crisscross scars that marked him as an adept of the Dark Academy. An adept never missed his target. The throw had been exact, precisely calibrated. Yet it had missed. Had the victim moved a crucial fraction? Impossible. The boy was fast asleep. From his person he pulled a second dagger. Another careful aim. The assassin was conscious of his brothers behind and below him on the wall. He felt the grim weight of their impatience. A flick of the wrist, a momentary arc. With a soft noise, the second dagger landed in the cushion, an inch to the other side of the prince's neck. As he slept, perhaps he dreamed, a smile twitched ghost-like at the corners of his mouth. Behind the black gauze of the scarf that masked his face, the assassin frowned. From within his tunic he drew a strip of fabric, twisted tightly into a cord. In 7 years since the hermit had ordered his first kill, his garrote had never snapped, his hands had never failed him. With leopard stealth, he slid from the sill and stole across the moonlit floor. In his bed, the boy murmured something. He stirred beneath his sheet. The assassin froze rigid, a black statue in the center of the room. Behind, at the window, 2 of his companions insinuated themselves upon the sill. They waited, watching. The boy gave a little sigh and fell silent once more. He lay face up amongst his cushions, a dagger's hilt protruding on either side. 7 seconds passed. The assassin moved again. He stole round behind the cushions, looping the ends of the cord around his hands. Now, he was directly above the child. He bent swiftly, set the cord upon the sleeping throat. The boy's eyes opened. He reached up a hand, grasped the assassin's left wrist, and, without exertion, swung him head first into the nearest wall, snapping his neck like a reed stalk. He flung off his silken sheet and, with a bound, stood free, facing the window. Up on the sill, silhouetted against the moon, 2 assassins hissed like rock snakes. Their comrade's death was an affront to their collective pride. One plucked from his robe a pipe of bone. From a cavity between his teeth, he sucked a pellet, eggshell thin, filled with poison. He set the pipe to his lips, blew once. The pellet shot across the room, directed at the child's heart. The boy gave a skip. The pellet shattered against a pillar, spattering it with liquid. A plume of green vapor drizzled through the air. The 2 assassins leaped into the room, one this way, the other that. Each now held a scimitar in his hand. They spun them in complex flourishes about their heads, dark eyes scanning the room. The boy was gone. The room was still. Green poison nibbled at the pillar. The stones fizzed with it. Never once in 7 years, from Antioch to Pergamum, had these assassins lost a victim. Their arms stopped moving. They slowed their pace, listening intently, tasting the air for the taint of fear. From behind a pillar in the center of the room came the faintest scuffling, like a mouse flinching in its bed of straw. The assassins glanced at each other. They inched forwards, toe-tip by toe-tip, scimitars raised. One went to the right, past the crumpled body of his fellow. One went to the left, beside the golden chair, draped with the cloak of kings. They moved like ghosts around the margins of the room, circling in upon the pillar from both sides. Behind the pillar, a furtive movement, a boy's shape hiding in the shadows. Both assassins saw it. Both raised their scimitars and darted in, from left, from right. Both struck with mantis speed. A dual cry, gargling and ragged. From round the pillar came a stumbling, rolling mess of arms and legs. The 2 assassins, locked together in tight embrace, each one skewered on the other's sword. They fell forwards into the pool of moonlight in the center of the chamber, twitched gently, and lay quiet. Silence. The window-sill hung vacant, nothing in it but the moon. A cloud passed across the bright round disk, blacking out the bodies on the floor. The signal fire in the harbor tower cast faint redness on the sky. All was still. The cloud drifted out to sea. The light returned. From behind the pillar walked the boy, bare feet soundless on the floor, his body stiff and wary, as if he sensed a pressure in the room. With careful steps, he neared the window. Slowly, slowly, closer, closer. He saw the shrouded mass of gardens, the trees and sentry towers. He noticed the texture of the sill, the way the moonlight caught its contours. Closer. Now his hands rested on the stone itself. He leaned forwards to look down into the courtyard at the bottom of the wall. His thin white throat extended out. Nothing. The courtyard was empty. The wall below was sheer and smooth, its stones picked out by moonlight. The boy listened to the quietness. He tapped his fingers on the sill, shrugged, and turned inside. Then, the fourth assassin, clinging like a thin black spider to the stones above the window, dropped down behind him. His feet made the noise of feathers falling into snow. The boy heard. He twisted, turned. A knife flashed, swiped, was deflected by a desperate hand. Its edge clinked against stone. Iron fingers grappled at the boy's neck. His legs were knocked from under him. He fell, landing hard upon the floor. The assassin's weight was on him. His hands were pinioned. He could not move. The knife descended. This time, it met its mark. So it had finished as it must. Crouching above the body of the boy, the assassin allowed himself a breath, his first since his colleagues had met their ends. He sat back on his sinewy haunches, loosed his grip upon the knife, and let the boy's wrists drop free. He inclined his head in the traditional mark of respect to the fallen victim. At which point, the boy reached up and plucked the knife from the center of his chest. The assassin blinked in consternation.
"Not silver, you see,"
the boy said.
"Mistake."
He raised his hand. An explosion in the room. Green sparks cascaded from the window. The boy rose to his feet and tossed the knife upon the pallet. He adjusted his kilt and blew some flakes of ash from off his arms. Then he coughed loudly. The faintest of scrapings. Across the room, the golden chair shifted. The cloak draped over it was nudged aside. Out from between its legs scrambled another boy, identical to the first, though flushed and tousled from many hours of hiding. He stood over the bodies of the assassins, breathing hard. Then he stared up at the ceiling. On it was the blackened outline of a man. It had a kind of startled look. The boy lowered his gaze to the impassive doppelganger watching him across the moonlit room. I gave a mock salute. Ptolemy brushed the dark hair from his eyes and bowed.
"Thank you, Rakit,"
he said.